It's the final countdown. I'm an 80s kid, so I had to throw this in there because I just like this song. And it is the final countdown. And what we mean by that is it's the fourth quarter. Is that taking anybody by surprise, the fact that I said that? Good. Okay, so hearing no one saying that it took them by surprise, that means we have 90 total days left. Yet, I want to challenge your thinking on this a little bit. So I'm going to buy you time as I stall here a little bit for you to get out something to write with, because I want you to be able to have a couple key figures. I'm not going to exposit a bunch of stuff for you. I promise it'll be brief, and I guarantee you this is the part of the call that's going to make you think and will have an impact on your business if you do something with the material. So we know there are 90 days left. We are started the fourth quarter today. That's not rocket science. That's not surprising to anybody. What we also know that is most people are going to look at that and take comfort in the fact that there are 90 days. Do we all really have 90 days?
No.
Okay, tell me more, Annette. Thank you for jumping in. What do I mean by the question, do we really have 90 days? And it's okay if you think we do, follow along. But what do I mean by challenging the 90-day concept?
We have holidays that, even though some of us might work on holidays and through holidays, things like banks and lenders and title, they don't. So you can't count that stuff into your closing. And people try to go underneath their turtle shell and hide for the holidays because they don't want people traipsing through their houses and things like that. So you really have to search harder for their motivation.
Drop the mic. Like, that's exactly what we're talking about. Look at the number on the bottom right. What number do you see on the bottom right of your screen?
60. I just see you.
61 days.
There you go.
61 days is what you actually have left. And I would argue you all have less than 61 days. And here's what I mean. 61 days is removing weekends and 4 holidays, 1 day per holiday. Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Now, if most of you are like the rest of us, you take more than 1 day at Christmas and more than 1 day at Thanksgiving. And yet, I'm not judging. I'm not speaking to anybody. This might be like the pastor on Sunday. If it's convicting to you, I'm not speaking directly to you, but let it do what it needs to do. Some of you, some of us have not earned more than 1 day off on those holidays. If your business isn't where you want it to be right now, you don't earn more than 1 day off on those holidays. So 61 days is assuming 1 day off per major holiday and excluding weekends. We have 61 days with those parameters to the end of the year. Now, here's what we also know. What's the average days to close in your market? And this is the interaction portion.
30.
So let's say 35 just to be safe, right? So if we have 35 days, how many cycles do we have left if we want something to go into contract and close by the end of the year?
1 3/4.
Yeah. Like, do you see the urgency of what I'm talking about? Now, anything that goes under contract in December doesn't close till the end of the year. Well, we still like that business, of course, because we're going to need it beginning of next year, first quarter. My point is, we're always talking about in this conversation, how do we finish this year strong? Meaning, how do we finish it with the most closings that we possibly can and create the most momentum going into next year? Now, I asked a couple of you, because some of you had your one-on-one call with me before this call today. I asked a couple of you something about betting. What was the question I asked you?
If you had to bet, how many will you put in escrow by the end of the year?
Now, that's a question I want you all to write down and think on. You don't have to give me an answer right now. Know that I'm probably going to be asking you, but I want you to think through that. If you're not a betting person, which I'm not because I value money too much to just throw it away, but if I had to put money on the line, where would I end this year? Based on what I have going, based on what I have closed, and based on what I see in the pipeline, if I was a betting person, where would I bet I would end my year? That's the question I want you to answer. Because what we have to do is figure out what the gap is. If we're betting, Annette, I'm going to use an example. You said a certain number. What was it? And I have it written 20. And you have a gap of 8, right? Based on the fact we're betting to 20, based on the fact we know where we are and what we have cooking, you're looking at a gap of 8. So now we have clarity on what that gap is, and we have a time frame to figure out how much time we have to work through that gap. Is everyone following me so far? Perfect. None of you. We're going to keep going anyway. So here is the other thing I want to talk about. Now, what we know is we're starting the fourth quarter today. We mentioned that? We're starting the fourth quarter today. What we know is that means we have to look at our 411s a little bit differently. Based on the actual days we have left, I want to challenge you to use your 411 at a higher level. Here's what I mean by that. Here are how many actual business days we have in each month. You might want to write these down. October, we have 22 business days. November, we have 20 business days. December, we have how many business days?
19.
So instead of taking your goal and dividing by 30 or 31 like you would typically on a 411 on a normal month, what am I challenging you to do this quarter by month?
5 business days.
Interesting. What does that do to the activity you have to do each day this quarter?
Lights a fire.
Should increase our activity.
If it doesn't increase your activity, you might not have a pulse. It has to increase your activity. You're absolutely right. Like, we have to do more because we have less time. So if we want to accomplish more, like Annette said too, I'm just talking about the actual confines that we have by the calendar and the holidays. I'm not even bringing into the fact the conversation that you're going to start hearing from your clients about wanting to wait until after the what? Holidays, right? So if you know we're going to hear that, guess what scripts we might start wanting to go through again? Bold has some great ones, right? We might start wanting to study scripts around that objection because we know they're not inventing new ones, and we know it's the time of year where they like to bring that one out and dust it off. So if we know it's coming, we probably should start preparing for it, right? So what I want to challenge you guys to do is go through your 411, even though you sent it to me this morning, thank you. I want you to redo it. I want you to redo the month portion of your 411 for October because I want you to use 22 days as your metric, not 30. Now, like Courtney said, she mentioned something in the beginning of the call saying that she really found it freeing and she liked the fact of getting stuff done sooner in the day or the week because then she didn't feel like the rat race was on and she didn't feel guilty or anything to that effect because she was ahead of it. She was on pace. She felt more in control. Same thing goes here. So whatever your goals are, I'm not suggesting you need to cross it out and double it like Bold. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want you to be realistic in looking at how do I actually accomplish that goal given all of the things that we have coming at us this quarter. This quarter is one of the most difficult because of these things. And yet at the same time, some of the biggest opportunity happens this quarter because what are most other agents doing this quarter? Yeah, not a lot is the answer. They're kicking back. They're going on holiday and vacation. So if there are fewer agents working, what does that mean for your opportunity?
More market we can take.
Absolutely. Like the more opportunity you have in every aspect of this business, if you capitalize it, if you're strategic about it, and if you're purposeful and consistent about your activity. Are we good so far? Have I ticked anybody off yet? Okay. Know that I'm not coming down on you to come down on you. I want to present this to you because I'm excited about this. I see tons of opportunity through this. And I know you guys are all committed to working at a different level than most other agents because you want the income that most other agents don't have. So that just requires a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. And it starts right here. Now, here's what we also know. Comfort zones are a dangerous, dangerous place. Absolute dangerous place because they're comfortable, they're safe, they feel good, right? It's what we know. There's very little risk, if any risk there. Doing what we've always done because it's what we've always done. And yet we live in that world sometimes, and yet we profess to want different results than what we've ever gotten. And we're at this war inside of our beings, right? We want something different, but we're not willing to do anything different in order to get it. So what I really want to challenge you guys with as you're getting off of this call, I really want you, I'm going to challenge you to spend, if you can, right after this call, 10 minutes. I'm not talking about hours, 10 minutes. Answer the question, if I'm a betting person, where do I see myself realistically ending in this year? By closings and escrows. Where am I now? What's the gap? And then redo your 411s based on those numbers I gave you for October, November, and December so that you're actually working with realistic timeframes, doing the amount of activity required to allow you to accomplish your goal while still being able to take time off to be with your family during the holiday. Is that fair?
Yes.
Fair.